Hi guys, welcome to another ramble. I hope you're doing well. I hope you are enjoying the day. I hope you are taking time for yourself because you are the most important investment. Um yeah, I had so many things going through my mind that I wanted to touch on today. And again, there's just so many um, things that want to come to the forefront that it's like I need to figure out how to streamline one thing at a time. If not, it just gets all like muddled up and it's just like hard to like, I want to say, explain, express. Yes. First and foremost, let's start with this one line. True success is self-realization. I 100,000 billion infinity, whatever number that is, the biggest number ever. Agree with that. Self success is true success is self-realization. Um and if you have found my channel, I feel like you probably agree with that. Like, don't get me wrong, like, we are here to experience and witness and experiment with material things. But for me personally, I know that those things are very temporary and they don't bring long lasting peace or joy or satisfaction. They're just temporary. Temporary, I want to say, distractions or temporary, I want to say, things to help soothe and regulate one's emotions and nervous system, you know? Anyways, yeah, sorry. You know me, I have a tendency to ramble. What really compelled me to do this video is an encounter that I had last night. So last night, how do I say this? Story time. So I went to work yesterday, and when I entered my workspace, normally it's very clear and uncluttered and well organized. And I walked in to my workspace and I found my coworker was very flustered, and the environment was in disarray. Like, it looks so, like, how do I explain this? Like, the energy was like chaotic, unsettled, imbalanced, and it was very apparent in the environment, because my coworker was like the maestro of that particular timeline and space and reality. And because her energy was crazy, yeah, it was directly reflected in her experiences and the environment. And I walked into this as an empath, and I think you understand this. We have a tendency to want to get in there, and like fix and control and help and save and all that stuff. And I felt myself having that knee jerk reaction, but then I caught myself and I took a step back. I grounded my energy. I took a breath. I took a moment to realize that this was not my energy. This was not my responsibility. It is not yeah, it's not my responsibility to be the janitor of the mess that this person has created. And by doing so, I would not only put myself under unnecessary pressure, I would also teach this person that it's okay to create this mess and not take accountability for it. And this is, I think, a well known pattern that empaths have, I want to say, participated in for most of their life because of that inability to recognize these energetic dynamics momentarily. Does that make sense? Like, I literally made a momentary decision to not react to my knee jerk um, reaction, you know, to get in there and save and help. You know, instead, I pulled myself back, I pulled my energy back, I was able to clearly see where my energy ended and hers began. And then I chose not to enmesh myself in her chaos. You know, um, I chose not to be a martyr and save her. And guess what? Everything turned out perfectly fine. Yeah, I chose not to put myself under the pressure. I chose not to take responsibility for someone else's inability to regulate themselves, you know? And by staying in that calmness and that peace, you know, not only was I able to be of service, not only of service to myself and then, of course, to her, you know. How does that make sense? Make that make sense. It wasn't fueling the chaos. Instead, I chose my peace, you know. And then I pointed out, like, hey, what's going on here? Do you need help? If you need help, please direct me. I am here to help if needed. And then I just kind of removed myself from that equation. And she was like, oh no, I got it, I got it. And you know what? Guess what? I let her get that instead of like trying to save, which was a breath of fresh air and such a miraculous discovery in that moment. And the reason why I want to share that with you is if you recognize and discover these things within yourself in momentary interactions, it is an absolute game changer, you know? Because you no longer participate in the chaos, rather, you allow yourself to stand amidst the chaos and let the chaos work itself out. You know, you're not trying to control how the chaos interacts with you. You just let the chaos be. You stand in your peace and let everything work itself out. And it usually does. You know, I think we would have knee-jerk reactions to help people because there was an inner wound within ourselves that we had not attended to, and we could see it, or we maybe it was a projection. We could recognize it, witness it in another person, you know, and we wanted to save ourselves by saving them. Does that make sense? But in actuality, it has nothing to do with the other person, everything to do with you. I know that sounds totally like backwards to what we have been almost programmed to believe for most of our lives. You know, we've been programmed to believe like we need to be selfless, you know, to think of yourself as selfish, but it's completely the opposite. I mean, I feel like especially people who have reached, I want to say, emotional maturity and reached levels or degrees of awareness and consciousness that um, where you have been practicing service to others for most of your life. Now it's about bringing that service back to the self, to balance that out, to recalibrate and I want to say regulate. You know what I mean? It all makes sense. It's just hard for me to like I want to say verbally dispense this. I wrote something today. So, sometimes I'll just go into like just channeling like thoughts. And I think it's kind of mumbo jumbo, but I feel like if I read it to you, maybe you'll grab like bits of like knowledge or wisdom that will kind of like resonate and activate something within you. So let me just read this. And I'm sorry, it's kind of all over the place. But like I said, I'm going to dispense this to you so that, I don't know, maybe you'll take something away from it and you can apply it, or it'll activate something within you. Because that's what happened to me last night. Something was activated in a very momentary space to where I was just like, I had an aha moment. And I was like, this is what I need. This is the missing puzzle piece that I've been looking for in order for me to shift, in self-awareness and consciousness, and so I can operate in such a way to have this profound effect. Am I making sense, guys? Anyways, here goes nothing. I'm gonna read this to you, and maybe you'll take something away from it. Okay. So, as children, we did not feel safe in our own body, so we became hypersensitive to energy reading, manipulation, filtration, often reacting to or suppression of the authentic self to survive. Since we did this unconsciously, we continued this pattern into adulthood, but never understood that until a conscious shift happened. We'd recycled experiences, hence why we'd participate in the same unhealthy habits and tendencies that were mirrored to us in childhood. That is why we encounter imbalanced, codependent, toxic relationships. We did not integrate the subconscious and conscious mind so a perspective shift could happen. So basically, when we were children, I feel like you can agree we all had like very traumatic upbringing. We were probably born into families that had very unhealthy habits, addictions, tendencies, behaviors, and, they couldn't pass on like any advice to us because they didn't know any better, because their parents didn't know any better. And so, being the cycle breakers that we are, we didn't understand, but we definitely felt like something was off kilter, like something didn't make sense in the larger schematic of things. But until we discovered what that was, we had to live in survival mode. We needed to, I want to say, mask our authentic selves in order to survive in environments that were harsh, and that's when, because we didn't feel safe. We didn't feel safe in our own bodies. In order to protect, we needed to become very adept at energy reading and adaptation and mirroring and pleasing, and because we're so codependent on our caretakers, but the thing is, as we grew into adulthood, we didn't recognize that we were still running off of that program that we had established in childhood. That is why we would encounter the same unhealthy dynamics that we had growing up. And it would be, I want to say, mirrored in our close relationships, our intimate relationships, you know what I mean? And then we'd be like, why is this happening? Why am I attracting people who continually abuse me or misuse me or take me for granted, or just it's a one-sided thing. It's because we were still operating in that energetic frequency that we experienced in childhood, and we didn't do the integration to ascend into a higher level of consciousness or awareness until we encountered enough pain that would almost push us into that transformative state. I know if I sound really complicated, that is why I spend a lot of time alone, because these are some thoughts that run through my head, and I don't really find many people who are, one, interested in what I have to say, or two, can process what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying? Because they're just not at that phase of life where they are proactively seeking to understand life in such a deep way, if that even makes sense. Anyways, this video is going on long and I still need to read more. Right. More awareness was needed through experiences, often painful ones. Pain is the transformative agent. It would trigger awakening by clarifying where accountability was being thwarted, boundaries were being breached, balance and regulation of the self and emotions were necessary, distinction between the energy of one versus another, how important non-interference is, how to become interdependent versus codepending on another to balance and harmonize the self. The gaslighting, manipulation, control, betrayal first started and was generated from within. We sacrificed ourself, our authentic self, and exchanged it for a sense of safety through other people, who in turn became mirrors of our behavior and energetic imbalances based on the frequency we were functioning at. I know. Hey guys, if you get it, you get it. And this is seriously, like, sometimes when I journal, I'll just like write stuff like this down. I really don't know if you are following me or you understand, because I want to say most of the people I've encountered in life just don't understand. Like, they would probably be lost in the first two sentences. So thank you for sticking it out with me, and thank you for if you get it, bless your heart. Because I just don't find people who get it. Once you realize and balance within, your ability to forecast the energetic weather around you will become more accurate, and your ability to non-engage with it will be your new modus operandi. You will retrieve your energy in a grounded way and simply notice the energetic signature of others. Be adept at reading and forecasting it without being reactive, moved to interfere in its presence. Relinquish your participation, allow it to resolve itself in the space and time that you permit it, whilst practicing feeling safe within. And I feel like when you feel safe within yourself, when you feel stable, safe within, you're no longer dependent on anything outside of yourself for this feeling of safety. And also, Because you feel safe, you feel a profound amount of peace and freedom, and you don't feel the need to control anything because there is no need to. You know, when you feel safe, you don't need to control anything. You're very secure in yourself. You know what I'm saying? I kind of ended it with, you have mastered the art of generating and providing everything you've ever wanted for self by yourself, because it's in yourself. You know, and that's the thing. Like, most people don't realize it, it's it starts from within. You know, but they're so busy trying to grasp everything outside. And I know this because I also, at one point in my life, was operating that way. You know what I'm saying? Until I got to a point where I'm like, okay, this isn't working. Something needs to shift. What do I need to change? How do I need to redirect my attention? Oh, towards myself. There's a lot of things that I have been bypassing. There's a lot of things that I have been blame shifting. I've been trying to manipulate and control situations and other people around me to feel safe, when I needed to go within to create that safety within myself, you know? But yeah, you have to sacrifice your old self to step into the new self. True success is self actualization. And that's where I'm going to end it. Anyways, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to this long standing video. And if you learned something cool, if you didn't, that's cool too. We're not responsible for anything or anyone around us, which sounds so paradoxical, right? Because we have almost been like programmed to believe that's what it is. I think the greatest gift that you can give to humanity is the love and the peace and the awareness, actualization, realization of the self. That's the greatest gift you can give to humanity. You know? Then everything else follows suit. Be the change you want to see in the world. Anyways, blessings to one and all. Amen.